I've reached back to back 90-day streaks on NoFap, and actually my first streak was way over 200 days. Here's everything that I know about urges. Start noticing the difference of wanting to watch porn, because that always feels like a desire to do something because you feel restless, you feel bored. However, sexual urges always feel like you're full of energy and you want to release. Now, it's pretty hard, and I wouldn't be able to tell the difference in the first 90 days. And there is a reason for that, because you watch porn for so long that you're really unable to tell the difference between what your body wants and what your mind is basically conditioned to demand from you. And so there is a blueprint that I'm going to share to deal with the urges and to minimize the risk of relapse over the period of your first 90-day streak. The first step is you have to learn how to resist urges, because urges are always going to be there. You know, as you walk around in the world, you're always going to see some naked women on some posters. You will see a random naked woman or porn link on your friend's group chat. Things like this happen. So you have to develop the willpower that you're going to use when you're in an emergency. But with the thirst traps, there are thirst traps all around you. Like there's one, for example. Point is, it's a thirst trap because you are the fly. And to not be a fly, you have to get some willpower. What you have to understand is willpower is like the ability to fight. You learn martial arts, you learn to fight in order to get into less fights, not in order to fight more. Because when you have more power, when you have more control, you're less likely to be engulfed in chaos. And the same is true for willpower. If you have more willpower, you're less likely to slip up on your habits and you're less likely to have urges to relapse later on. So how do you train your willpower? You have to train your discipline and you have to be in control of your thoughts. Now, training the discipline is very easy. That's the first thing to do. Start doing something every single day. So start working out every single day. Start meditating every single day. Really, meditation is the easiest thing to do because it's like 1 or 2 or 3 minutes a day when you start out. And the way you do it is you go onto your App Store or Google Play and you write in like Medito. There is an app which is completely free. It's like a non-profit app that's made for people to learn meditation. And it's a really amazing app, and I use it as well every single day. And so you start there, you get the basics of meditation, and after like a week, you're actually gonna feel the positive effects of meditation. But that's not the reason why you're meditating. The positive effects are the icing on the cake. The reason why you meditate is to build discipline, to build a habit, and therefore strengthen your willpower. And the same would be true for training. You don't have to get more muscular. You don't have to train for looks. The point is to train to build your discipline. So once you trained your willpower and once you train your discipline, the other way that you need to be stronger at is in control of your thoughts, right? So remember I mentioned meditation, right? So in order to control your emotions and your actions, you have to be able to control your thoughts. And the best way to control thoughts is to be able to not think about the certain thing that you're thinking about. Let's say you're thinking about watching porn or you're thinking about something sex related. And if you are meditating, you will be learning the ability to dismiss your thoughts and refocus on whatever you were focusing on. So it's literally the blueprint of getting better at not only controlling your own thoughts, but also building discipline. This is why in my coaching program, which if you want to join is the top link in the description, I always start with teaching my clients meditation. That's the most important thing when it comes to quitting porn. And it has the absolute best effects. And so number 2 that you have to understand is if you have consistent sleep, life is basically on easy mode. If you figure out how to sleep consistently, you're gonna have a much easier time. And if you don't have good sleep, you will have a lot more urges and you will have less willpower. So the next task is to kind of figure out what your sleep pattern is and start fixing it. Now, I've been documenting just a couple of days ago on my channel how I'm resetting my sleep pattern, because I was waking up 2 hours later than I wanted to due to a client in North America. And it is a 3 to 5 day process. Just today, I'm kind of still feeling a little bit of the sleep deprivation, but it's like very minuscule. And so basically I'm done. I mean, at 5 days, I basically feel no effects of my sleep reset. And it's very easy to learn a new sleep habit. I might actually do like a full guide on this, like how to reset your sleep full guide. But once you do that, you will have life on easy mode. You will have much easier time with your NoFap journey. You will have easier time with your everyday activities, whether you work, whether you're in school or university. It doesn't matter, because sleep will supercharge whatever activity that you need to do. And so once you have trained your willpower enough, then you will be able to not need the use for that willpower. So not have the need to that. Not have the need for that willpower. So the next step is to remove all the triggers from your environment. So the question, what triggers you, is something that only you can answer, but I can give you some common things that usually trigger people, and that triggered me in the past. So the biggest thing is usually the short form content, because there are a lot of thirst traps on those short form content, but also forums, for example. So maybe the NoFap forum, or more likely than not, it's not the NoFap forum that's the problem, but the other Reddit forums that you browse, and you might have some situations where you get some interesting information, and you think like, oh, it's probably porn related, let's investigate. And then, you're down in the rabbit hole, you're chasing urges at that point, because the problem is urges don't come necessarily from the want to watch porn. Urges come from the excitement of the reward in the future. So if you feel like there will be a reward of finding somebody's name, for example, you will get a dopamine hit. And that is something that you want to avoid, because dopamine hits related to porn addiction will hinder your progress. And as I said before, it takes like 1 to 2 years to completely heal from porn addiction. And if you keep giving yourself dopamine hits, your brain isn't really going to be able to heal, because you're using your neural pathways a little bit that you used to always use when you were watching porn. So that's not a good way to have your streak going. I would call that a kind of a dirty streak, even if you don't look at porn, because you hinder your progress. It doesn't stop your progress, but it hinders it. And so deleting social media, just not visiting things like Reddit, like 4chan, these places where it's not necessarily there for you to watch porn, but you might stumble upon porn by accident. It's just easier to live like that, especially in the first couple of years when you quit porn. But even after that, it's easier to live without these trash, dopaminergic, doom scrolling apps that aren't really social media. Now, of course, Reddit and 4chan might be, but the problem with Reddit and 4chan is it's an echo chamber of people who are losers, to be honest. Like, I don't mean to offend people who use Reddit. I use Reddit occasionally, but the situation is, if you have time to spend hours on Reddit, you probably don't really have much going on in your life. It's the same as with video gaming. Once you deleted the environmental hazards that are around you, there might be still some environmental hazards that you cannot get rid of. For example, beautiful girls that you're attracted to, but in the first 30 to 60 days, you only see them as kind of these body parts. And the trick with that is, well, there isn't really a trick, but you can kind of look them in the eye. That's the way to break the curse of, looking at people's body parts and stuff. I know it can be very hard, especially when you're very young, very early on NoFap. It is difficult to understand, but later on you will not see people as like these objects of sexuality. You will see them as actual people. It's kind of hard to explain, but after a while you will have an easier time talking to girls because you don't see them as objects of sex or sexuality. And the trick is to look them in the eye later on. In the first 30 days, there is really no easy way to kind of get rid of that hazard. That is why we are training the willpower, and that is why we are training the discipline, because there are some things that you cannot really control, like your environment, who are the people that are around you on the street. You see some billboards, you never know what's going to be on them, so you have to kind of be disciplined about that. And this doesn't last very long, like it's 1 month, to be honest. It's very easy to get through that, maybe 2 months if your streak is a little bit dirty, but it's completely fine, because I have a trick that I came up with. And I came up with this trick, I think last summer, when I was having some difficulties, to be honest. And I was very mad. Oh, it was in the spring, actually. I was very mad because my brain kept coming up with stupid references to porn just by the things around me. And it became so bad that I actually sort of accidentally found this trick where you can disassociate things from porn and associate them with other things. I call these trigger replacements. So there might be things that trigger you. They might be pictures of a porn star or a name of a porn star, let's say, that is related to something else, but when you hear it, you get the memories of the porn that you used to watch. And so you can replace these triggers by understanding that, sure, like let's say I hear this name of the porn star, but I also think of something else. Let's say I think of an earbud when I hear the same name. So I would say, like, in my mind, of course, not out loud, I would hear the name and I would be like, okay, I understand that my brain is thinking of porn, but I think this is a lot more like an earbud. I'm a lot more interested in the earbud right now than the other thing, so I will associate this with an earbud in the future. And if you want to make it even more permanent, you can write it down as well, as like just a note somewhere or in your phone or on a journal. And so you will get again the same trigger and you will hear the same name. And so you will have again the same thought, and you have to reinforce this over and over again. And after like 4 to 5 times you hear this, you can just replace the association with the thing that you associated to porn. Instead, replace it with the new thing. So for example, this little earbud in this example. And so that is like the final piece of the puzzle. A lot of guys actually give you something similar. Usually not this. I don't think anyone came up with this. I came up with this, so I wouldn't know if they did. But they give you some strategy that actually works, and it probably worked for them as well. But they forgot that in the beginning of their journey, it wasn't the trick or the strategy or the identity shift that made them quit porn. It was first they had to train their willpower. First they had to remove the toxic things that made them relapse over and over again, and then they were able to use that strategy to quit porn. But that was the final piece of the puzzle, not the first one. So yeah, when you're starting off, just focus on the meditation and focus on doing exercise every single day. And as everything comes when you track, and as achievements come as you track, I would recommend you to start a habit tracker as well. You can Google habit tracker and print one out, or you can use a Notion template, and I'm going to share that soon, like how to build your own habit tracker in a Notion, because it's very easy. You can have it out on the laptop, you can just put it in to your phone as an application as well. Yeah, it's very, very useful, but I just started with the paper habit tracker, so you're not really missing out on anything if you're only tracking meditation and working out and let's say 1 or 2 other things. I would just start with a paper tracker, to be honest. It's super easy. And also another thing is, don't be mad if you skip some days. The point of the tracker, the way it works is, no matter how much it hurts for you to not be able to do something as simple as meditating for 3 minutes a day, that is so simple, or even 1 minute. That's like, it's such a basic human trait of being able to do something for 1 minute. That's like literally just sitting still and focusing on your breath. If you're unable to do that, don't feel bad about yourself. You're gonna get a lot stronger. It's very easy to get these newbie gains at the start with meditation and with exercise as well, because modern day in society hasn't really allowed you to practice these skills. It hasn't given you the information regarding this that you needed. So it's completely fine to suck at the start. Just make sure you track on the days that you do it, and then you will see the progress. And track it with diligence, like actually pay attention every single morning and write in the X's, or every single night and write in the little X's that if you've done the meditation. And I would always have like my habit tracker like out on the table, but the point is to have it out where you can see it. So every day you're reminded to actually fill it out and see what habits that you've done. All right, that's everything. I'm gonna go to the gym, but today I have a rest day, so I'm not actually gonna work out. I'm just gonna stretch. I'm gonna hit the sauna as well. The sauna has been an absolute blessing for me, and I think for you as well. If you have a gym nearby with a sauna, I would definitely recommend checking it out. For some people, it can affect their mood in the winter in such an amazing way. It like boosts my productivity by like 10 times during the winter. During summer, I don't need it. And I think for the people who are also affected by seasonal depressive disorder, whatever it's called, SAD, it's such a blessing, because it really just speeds up your system by shocking it, and it gives you a bit of a reset, a reboot, and you're able to work a lot more. So if you've been struggling with productivity, specifically during winter, this is something that's like a really, really life-changing thing to do. Right. Yeah, everything is going really good. I was thinking about like finances and like building my business and stuff. And I realized like usually the hardest moment when you're on self-improvement, when you're doing stuff like NOFAP, the hardest moments of your life are usually the ones that you are in right now. If you are doing self-improvement, and if you are actually improving like 1% a day, let's say, you can validate this actually by looking in the past. You will see how the moments where you were struggling before were the worst moments, because you've only gotten better ever since. And so when I look back at my business, that the first idea that I would start this business started to come into my brain about 1 year ago. Now I was still doom scrolling. I was still watching some YouTube videos, wasting my time back then. And to see how far I've gone since then, it gives me the reinforcement that I am going in the right direction, because you cannot really see the future, and uncertainty is really, really bad for your mental state. But when you look back into your past behavior, you can kind of predict the future by what happened in the past, what you did in the past. So if you see, like, if you're worried if you're gonna gain more muscle, just look back like 1 month ago and see how much muscle you had like 1 month ago. And if you had the same amount of muscle, you're doing something wrong. But more likely than not, you've had a bit less muscle. So it's like almost certain that you're gonna gain even more muscle. Yeah, that's the way to predict the future. It's the best way, to be honest. The past actions predict future behavior with the highest percentage of reliability. It's not 100%, but it's the best, as good as it's gonna ever get. And inside my YouTube channel, which you should subscribe to, by the way, you will find the community tab that I will have some questions. And if you like my videos, if you actually enjoy watching them, please just fill them out so I can, better relate to you. Like, what day are you on NoFap? What was your longest streak? That sort of stuff. And yeah, I can't wait to hear what your problems are, what you're dealing with. I would love to get some insight on what are you guys struggling with, because I remember what I was struggling with sort of about 3 years ago. No, actually it was 5 years ago now when I started NoFap. Damn, time flies. But time paints everything in a different color. So I would like to know, what are the current problems? Yeah, leave me a comment with your struggle, with your question. I would like to hear your story as well. I should probably make a video as well on that, like what's my story, how my streak has started and stuff. Yeah, see you guys tomorrow. Bye.